Ine. Okay, we're good. Well, this feels like the story of Hanukkah. Something was not possible and now it's possible. It's difficult to say Hanukkah Sameach because our feelings are very, very mixed. There's a lot of a mixture of light and darkness. And suddenly the quality of light as a spiritual quality, as resistance, as a choice, becomes much deeper, much, much deeper. I almost want to wish us a meaningful Hanukkah. I just want to start by thanking my dear Talmidah Sida Irina. I will share that that's just a personal anecdote, but it's my father's name was Miron, and Irina is also the name of my cousin, so it's interesting. Thank you for dedicating this sit to their memory, and I know how much strength and light they gave you and they keep giving in this world through their memory as a blessing. And really may the lights of Hanukkah and may their memory, the merit of their memory, help the souls that departed in Sydney. And also I want to mention this, the MIT professor Nuno Loureira, Zichrono Livracha, who was shot yesterday. May the lights of Hanukkah and the memory of your grandfather and your late husband, Zichrono Livracha, help these souls be elevated, be elevated. We are wounded. We are wounded. And it's good not to pretend that we're not, because we are wounded. And it's our vulnerability, which is that if someone I've never heard of dies in Australia and is part of my people, I am wounded. Not just because I know it could have been me. I am wounded because they're my brother and my sister. And it's also our strength. Because if someone wants to kill all the Jews in the world, they can try. They've tried quite a few times. But there's always going to be another Jew somewhere else. So our body, our collective body, is alive and well alive. I had prepared the soul sheet and then I added a text which I read to my students on Sunday, and I'll read it again with all of you because it really is the text that brought to me consolation on Sunday after hearing about Sydney. And it's so beautiful to see how art, literature help us, and also how zooming out and going back into history and seeing what we have already overcome, how helpful this is. And so I want to share with you a short excerpt from Chaim Potok. I'm going to share my soul sheet now with you. It's a text that was written in, or it's a memory from 38, and the text was first published in 72. So 38 was the year of Kristallnacht, the night in which in Berlin so many synagogues and Jewish stores were burned and window shops exploded and broken. And that was kind of the beginning of the end for German Jews, okay? So this is a childhood memory from Chaim Potok. And it was published after World War II. So this is a memory from the beginning of the descent, right into the deep darkness of the Holocaust. And this is written after. But look at the memory. Look at what was said by his father then. So I'll read to you and feel free to close your eyes and even place a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly if you'd like. Just receive this message from so many years ago. I wanted a miracle, but there were no miracles during that Hanukkah. Where was God? I kept dreaming of burning synagogues. On the 8th and final night of the festival, I stood with my parents in front of the burning candles. The darkness mocked their light. Isn't this how it's been feeling this past few days? I could see my parents glancing at me. My mother sighed, and my father murmured my name. You want another miracle? He asked wearily. I did not respond. Yes, he said, you want another miracle. He was silent a moment. Then he said in a gentle, urging voice, I also want another miracle. But if it does not come, we will make a human miracle. We will give the world the special gifts of our Jewishness. We will not let the world burn out our souls. We will make a human miracle. I'm just reading again. We will give the world special gifts of our Jewishness. The candles glowed feebly against a dark window. Sometimes I think man is a greater miracle maker than God, my father said tiredly, looking at the candles. God does not have to live day after day on this broken planet. Perhaps you will learn to make your own miracle. So I'll stop sharing for a moment. And I just want to invite us to imagine ourselves back in 38 with what was happening and the deep despair. And that the response of this father to his son is, if nothing happens, we will make a miracle. And affirming we will give the gift of our Jewishness to the world. What strength to affirm that even if the world is trying to burn us down, we know we have a gift to give and we'll keep giving it. And this is my blessing to you for this Hanukkah and for this year, that you may make your own miracles in your family, in your home, in the street, in your neighborhood, in your city, whatever the scale. And I really do believe that this is what meditation practice helps us do. Because healing our character traits, what we call in Chassidut tikkun midot, is a form of miracle. Becoming a better human being, more patient, more loving, more resilient, changing our nature and becoming the best of who we can be and contributing to this world. This is a miracle. And so I'll share with you a little piece from the Kedushat Levi, which I'm learning with this year with my Talmidim in Torah. And just this to add to Chaim Potok. He had a teaching on Hanukkah, and he quotes the Talmud that says, Adlaka ose mitzvah. The lightning makes the mitzvah. And what the Kedushat Levi, Yitzhak Levi Miberditchev, does with this is that this says, רוצה לומר שאדם יתלהב לעבודתו. That a person needs to be on fire. Yitlahev, it's both love and it's to be on fire. Lahav is a flame. And this is the lightning. And because the ardor can be for empty things, the tzaddik only becomes ardent for holiness. And this is called resting. Since rest, menucha, is called the vessel in which the love is inserted. Nikra hakli shemachnis bo ahava. And so I want to invite us to do a meditation in which we really feel ourselves like this kli, like this vessel for love, lehit lahev, to be in love for serving life. And love and light, love and fire as one thing. So I invite you to sit, to adjust your posture, even if you're already sitting. Now we sit mindfully, bringing intentionality to your posture. If you're sitting on a chair, the 2 feet flat on the floor, the legs hip width apart, hands on the thighs. Sitting just like we want to be in the world. Sitting with dignity. It's like, the flame always goes up. And so we sit like a flame. Lehit lahev is to be on fire, to shine, and to fall in love. Can we choose to be that? Today. And so this meditation is a visualization. I want to invite you to see yourselves as a vessel for love and for light. If it helps, you can place a hand on the heart again, a hand on the belly. And resting in this. He talks about menucha. Just like the candles need to rest on something. It doesn't need to be effortful. The flame rises effortlessly. So that's the practice. And of course, your thoughts are going to come up, and that's actually quite healthy. It's a detox of the mind and of the heart. So allow it to be just as it is. Just allow your mind, your thoughts to do what it does. You rest in your own fire, in your own love, which is pure life energy. Allowing your thoughts to be, allowing everything to be just as it is, resting as the light, resting as the love. the last couple of minutes of our Hanukkah meditation today. Remembering the words of the father of Chaim Potok. That we can make a human miracle. And that we can choose to keep giving our gift to the world. An invitation for you to set an intention very concretely. What is a way that you want to give your unique gift to the world today? What is the way that you want to leit lahev, that you want to fall in love again, be a flame again on fire, for serving life, for being in this beautiful life, in spite of all the darkness? And I always come back to this teaching from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, that if you want to chase darkness from a room, you don't try to chase it with a broom. You just kindle a lamp. It's the only way to prevail from darkness. Just like the only way to prevail from hatred is to nurture love. And that is radical. And that is Judaism. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You shall love the other as yourself. Taking a beautiful breath in, out. Just sending blessings to everyone in this Zoom today. Sending our own light to everyone who needs consolation, anyone who is afraid. Again, honoring the memory of the grandfather and the late husband of Irina. And getting ready to say Kaddish with Rabbi Mark.
As always, thank you so much, Rabbi Mira, for creating this beautiful context of loving presence. And we can bring into that space that we've all created together, the grief and the loss, those who are mourning, those who are observing a yard site. And if it's your custom to join in the Mourners Kaddish, you're welcome to do so. If you like, you can put the name or names of the individuals that you're holding in your heart today as we recite the Mourners Kaddish. If you're not reciting Kaddish, please stay present. Offer your loving presence for those who are. And thanks to Rachel for sharing the words on the screen. If you're reciting Kaddish, please join me by rising in body or in spirit. You can unmute at this time. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabba, V'yalma Divrach Yirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, Chayechon, V'meichon, V'chayed, B'al Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, U'bizman Tzariv, V'yimru, Amen.
Amen.
Hey,
Shmei Rabba
Mivorach,
Mivorach Olam Olamei Almaya.
Barach v'yitzbach v'yibhar v'yitzlam v'yisei Hadar v'yitzalev v'yithalal b'shmei
Richu.
La'ela mikol birchata v'shirata v'nata v'nechmata v'iran ba'alma Hey Shlama Rabba min Shemaya Chaim al Yisrael v'yimru Zeh Shalom b'ramav Shalom Aleinu v'yachol Yisrael v'yachol Yoshvei Tevel v'yimru Amen.
To all Israel. Amen.
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 Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. on day 3 of Hanukkah. We hope you'll join us tomorrow if you're leaving now. Tomorrow will be led in practice. Tomorrow, Thursday, by Rabbi Francine Roston will be joining us. And on Friday, we'll sit into Shabbat with Rabbi Danielle Upton to sit into Shabbat of Hanukkah together. And want to, of course, invite everybody to stay for conversation with Rabbi Mira. If you have a question you'd like to ask, you're welcome to put it in the chat, and I'll try to work your question into the conversation, or feel free just to share what came up for you and your experience with today's practice. And before we turn to that, I want to again thanks Irina Golfman Rosenblum for sponsoring this beautiful practice today in loving memory of her grandfather, Miron Shpezam, and her husband, Bruce David Rosenblum. Zichronam Libracha, may their memories be a blessing always. Mira, thank you so much, and thank you for bringing in. I guess it's a heavy time. We've been through many heavy times. Once again, there's a heavy time juxtaposed against this where we are in the Jewish year, and you just integrated both of those so beautifully and brought so much of the light of where we're at in the cycle of the Jewish year into some of the darkness that we're facing. I guess I would like to begin conversation with, at first I thought I wanted to end with this, but actually I'd like to begin with this because the teaching, the Kedushat Levi is, I know you're teaching it and it deserves more than a few minutes to look at it, but it struck me that it might be very helpful for people as they're preparing and lighting their Chanukiot as a kavanah, to provide a kavanah or intention. So I wondered if you might walk us through that a little bit. What I saw in the text was this concept of Hanukkah, of resting, right? And I got the sense from the text and from your teaching there that could refer to the placement of the candles or the oil in the Chanukiah.
Mm.
And that's that's sort of essential. And then to fill the candles, to fill that with the flame of the Hebrew term that it's in there is hitlahavut,
Yeah.
which is literally means inflamement, right? It was translated there as ardor in English, inflamement, to actually to put it together with, that amazing Chaim Potok text, to be a miracle, or to make miracles, is to really be that light, right? To be the light of the Chanukiah. So I don't know, I was wondering, could you, like, if someone said, "Oh, that sounds beautiful. How can I do that when I set up my Chanukiah?"
Yeah.
Right. How would you guide people to do that?
Yeah. First of all, I think you actually summarized it very well in terms of the instructions, right? That and that's one thing I love about Judaism, is that the symbolism is very, very deep, and the way to express it, to embody it, to understand it, is to actually do very concrete actions. There's something very pragmatic about, if I want to kindle a lamp, if I want to light a candle, I'm going to have to place something first, because there is a chomer, there is a material, a basis, right? There is no flame in a vacuum. So you have to do something very concrete, which is laniach mashu, to place something. He doesn't start with this. He starts with the flame, and he starts with the Talmud, right? Who says, well, the mitzvah is in the kindling, is in the lightning, and he says yes, and he's doing something that is very classical about Hasidic wisdom, which is to say, oh, just like when we say, our body also is a temple. When we talk about, so our body too is a candle. That's the first thing. You are the candle. When you are lighting the Chanukiah, when you're lighting the candle, you're setting yourself, you're invited to to reset yourself on fire again. It's like really an invitation for awakening, really. For awakening, and for this quality in spiritual practice. I'm going to make a comparison, but in the mindfulness tradition, which comes from Vipassana, you have 7 factors of enlightenment. And one of them is ardor. And we don't talk about it enough, I think, because we talk about quieting, about calm, right, about equanimity. There is something about being on fire, and that's Chassidut. That's really, and that is, you know, the kind of offy of character of Hanukkah, you know, lightning fire, lightning candles, dafka, specifically because it's dark and it's cold outside, and so we are become the antidote of this. I'll go back to the concrete, but I just want to add this, like, there are a few meditations in the Zohar on the candle itself. There's also a play on word that is being made about the human being, which is nefesh, right? And nefesh is a human being. In Bereshit, when we say the human being was brought to life, Vayhi Adam lenefesh chaya. So I translate this to being rather than soul, because being is kind of body soul, right? And nefesh, according to the Hasidim, it's an acronym, Nun Pei Shin, for ner, which is the actual light of the candle, right? The flame, ptila, which is the wick, and shemen, because all the candles used to be shemen. Wax is quite recent. And if you think about it, we are a burning candle. Being alive is slowly, slowly burning. And the beauty of it, we don't see it because it's so slow, but the beauty of it, except after 40, I can't talk. Just kidding. But the beauty of it is that as we are burning, we are giving our light to the world. So it's actually very existential. And to hear the Kedushat Levi saying, be the candle. And as you said, what a beautiful set of instructions for candle lightning. First, you rest, right, the basis at the, you know, maniach. And then you kindle. It's that simple. It's like 2 things that you need to do. And also to see how the kli that you are and that the candle is meant to receive fire and love. And think about it. The candle can emit fire in the world because in a way it receives the fact of being kindled. That makes sense, right? And that brings us back to Kabbalah, which is, it's all about giving and receiving. That's all it's about. That is all that it's about.
So now I want to shift a little bit, and it's interesting to apply that to practice, you know, to our meditation practice, because that word, well, the Hanukkah and meniach, right, is also to give rest, right? So as we allow ourselves in practice to rest, is another another beautiful layer for this, right? That we don't have to wait till tonight. We're also doing it. We were just doing it right now.
I agree. And I think it's also like a very important distinction. And I think this is what we're invited to do in spiritual practice, is to refine our understanding of things. And often fire could be equated with restlessness. But actually what we're seeing is, and we know that when you sit in front of a bonfire, when you sit in front of a candle and you actually look at it, which is what we're invited to do in front of the Hanukkah, we're supposed to be sitting, the Hasidim and the Mekubalim would be sitting and singing and meditating and looking for the whole time that the candles were burning.
Right.
Actually, an invitation, as you said, to rest in presence, to rest. And so we see that here it's a teaching that, oh, fire can actually be very quiet, right? It's this deep fire. And Harris is writing an interesting comment that he's saying, oh, you know, passion can be destructive or productive, and so is fire. Fire can destroy, or fire can enlighten. And here you see we have the dark fire in the world right now. I don't even need to talk about it more, right?
Right.
We have to be the light fire, the fire of love. And that's a fire that is very quiet, very calming, right? Very serene. And it's also a beautiful way of talking about love, that love doesn't have to be destructive. The intensity of hitlahavut, of the flame, can have this quality of something grounding and calming. I love that in his teaching. He's really putting them next to each other, the hitlahavut and the minucha, the being a flame and the deep rest, which is at the heart of spiritual practice, of meditation practice.
Yeah. It's making me think this is just very beautiful and very practical, I think. I hope this feels very accessible for people as a practice for the rest of the nights of Hanukkah, as Rabbi Mira is suggesting, to emulate the mystics by the tradition is not to make use of the lights, but to actually just to be them, and contemplating them, absorbing them is when I'm doing it. The other thing, Mira, I was thinking is I'm associating it also. I'm thinking about when we feel depleted, which, personally speaking,
Never
also
happens. Never happens to us. Not right now.
I'll just speak from the eye that I can have the experience of feeling depleted. So the idea of hitlahavut, of being passionate, right, can feel very far off and too lofty. I can barely muster the energy. But the story, the Talmudic story of Hanukkah, which spiritualizes it, it's interesting. It's interesting that the historical story of Hanukkah lends itself to that Chaim Potok. Well, we're going to make the miracles. We're not counting on God to do that anymore, right? But the rabbis in the Talmud emphasize the divine aspect of this, and they're the ones who lean into the miracle of the oil, right? That there's not enough. But putting it together with what you're suggesting here, what I'm getting is this sense of, even when we feel like hit lahavut is, we can't, beyond our grasp, that if actually we do exactly what we're doing today, we may find that that little bit of oil is transformed into enough, right?
Absolutely.
And then that's the only way to get there, actually, not by like revving it up. And as you said, as the text said, as the Kiddushat Levi you bring here, and as you underlined, the hitlavut can be used for destructive purposes or profane purposes or mundane purposes. And just to finish, what you said there was, this is hitlavut for love.
Yeah.
To meet, right? That's It feel very abstract to say hitlahavut for God, but at the very least, understand that as hitlahavut for love.
And for life, like being alive, like tapping into our aliveness. And I want to share something about what you said about feeling depleted, and I'll share something personal. I have had like problems of really of very, very low blood pressure and like being depleted since I'm very young, like extreme sometimes, to the point that sometimes it's hard for me to walk in the street. It's been a while, it hasn't happened, but it's been extreme. And every time I've been with a spiritual teacher, and especially my teacher today, they say, wow, you have an immense amount of energy. But I know that if I don't channel it, right, because of the my tikkunim that I need to make, then I don't access the energy that's in me. And the truth is, because we have life energy within us, there is this immense amount of energy. And that's the beauty, and that's the gift of meditation, is that when we stop and when we rest in presence, which is one of my definitions of meditation, to rest in presence.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stop putting, like barriers and walls to our own energy flow. And then maybe it happens to you. It happens to me very frequently that sometimes,
absolutely,
right? And then I have more energy after sitting. So I'm really glad that you spoke about this, because this is a great opportunity to remind us that the energy is there. Just like the love is there, the lavut is always there. And the meditation, the resting paradoxically, effortlessly, right, helps us just connect and receive. That's
well,
the
as always, thank you for helping us rest in presence. And there are many ways to understand that presence, including the presence of everybody here that help us also, right? That helps generate that energy. So I hope everyone tonight, as we light our Hanukkah out, will be able to draw on the beauty of today's practice. And thanks to Rachel for holding our space. Irina, thank you so much for your generosity and honoring. Yeah, and may your grandfather and your husband's souls have an aliyah, and hopefully you feel their light shining more brightly as a result of today's practice. Thank you all so much. Hope to see you tomorrow. And Mira, Hanukkah, everyone, Hanukkah Sameach. But Nasiya Tova, I know in your travels, be safe and well and beautiful. And we'll see you all soon. Okay.
Shine your light, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Irina. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, everyone. Hanukkah Sameach.
Hanukkah Sameach.